All right, welcome everybody to our webinar on Facebook and Instagram ads. This is our third out of 3 webinars on this topic. I think you'll see with what we're talking about today that we're really just scratching the surface of this topic. But hopefully it's been informative and inspiring and giving y'all some ideas. So today we're going to focus on something called the metapixel. So this is definitely getting into some relatively technical details, and we're really not going to be able to go over every detail of it in an hour, but I can at least point you in the right direction and explain to you some of the advantages and disadvantages of going this route. So I think all of y'all have been here before. We may have a couple of new folks, or at least one new person or something join here in a few minutes, but we're gonna look at the results of the ads thus far that we've been looking started the past couple weeks. It's pretty exciting to see what has happened. And we'll have some time for Q&A. So definitely post your questions in the chat as they occur to you. And then I'm going to share a little bit more information about the Church Outreach Incubator service that we are launching and talk about an exciting bonus for those who apply by November 16th. So you don't want to miss the end of today's webinar. So as you know, these webinars are to equip you with proven methods of outreach, not novelties or things that are just not necessarily proven to work, but things that fall into these 4 categories. Each of these has pros and cons, difficulties and benefits and so forth. But these are the things that they're tried and true. And so that's what we talk about in these webinars. All right, so here are the results of the ads that we started running a couple of weeks ago. So if you've been here the past few weeks, you'll remember that 2 weeks ago, we started some ads for a church in Maryland, and that was October 10. And one of the things that this church offers are English classes. And you can see that a little over $100 was spent, paid to Meta for ads. And you can see that week 1, before the ads were started, they had no English class signups. Week 2, they had about 5 English class signups. So that's when the first ads were started. Those ads actually did not make any specific reference to the English class. But they still got some signups that week. All right, during week 3, that was basically last week, some ads specifically advertising the English class and linking directly to that sign-up page were started. I guess it was about last Thursday. You can see they got about 25 signups last week. And then so far this week, and this week's not even over yet, they've gotten about 45 signups. So that to me is pretty amazing, actually, for spending $100 on ads. So that's what, 45 plus 25, 40 plus 30, that's about 75 people that have signed up since we started running these ads. That's pretty amazing. All right, so Arnie, do you want to, let's see, I'll address Arnie's question. You recently tried to start a Facebook ad. They seem to require an okay with the LGBTQ agenda that we are required to sign on to. So yes, it is true that I can't remember the details. I don't remember seeing something specific to that, but I may have not read everything super closely. It is true that you know, these various companies have you know, all kinds of, I mean, these are companies that have their own policies, right? So yeah, you just need to read carefully and make a decision that is right for your church. All right, so here are the ads that are actually running, or that we've actually tried. So you can see here on the left, these were the first two ads that were started. They were just advertising just the church, wasn't saying anything about English classes. And then last week, there were 4 ads that were started. And you can see that 2 of them, the 2 on the right, they just say English classes, and the picture doesn't say anything about the location. But then these 3rd and 4th ones, they mention the location in the image. And you can see here, just if you look at the reactions, this one that is in Spanish and lists the city and location, that even just from this, you can see that it got 48 reactions, 12 comments, 1 share. And if we look at the stats for that ad, oops, we can see, if I can find it here, let's go here. So remember, you need to, Facebook has this whole other side of it called business.facebook.com. And so you got to go here and then start clicking on things related to ads. And then see all ads. And then let's see. This is still not really telling us everything. So you got to actually go to Ads Manager. There we go. You actually got to go to a whole nother website. And then if you have multiple accounts like I do, you kind of got to figure out which account you're in. Oh man, okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, so if you look at the results of these ads, so here's the 5, here's the 5 different campaigns. And you can see that the first 2 we weren't tracking link clicks. So it was about $4 or $5 per 1,000 people reached. The first ad, that would be this one here, that has just like the kind of the chalkboard hanging on the kind of lopsided. That one cost 18 cents per link click. But then when we get to these ones that are that have this chalkboard that's not at an angle and it's listing the location in the picture, right? Listing the location in the picture was helpful. And you can see that those ones went down to 9 cents per link click for the one in English, and then 6 cents per link click for the one in Spanish. So what I did a day or two ago was I noticed that very clearly this ad here had the lowest cost per link click. So I shut off all the other ads, and this is the only one running because it's the one which is the lowest cost to run. So any questions on those results? I think they're very exciting. I think it's pretty amazing what, the kind of results that even spending just $100 on ads can produce. Any questions on those before I jump into the next topic? Feel free to type something in chat or just unmute yourself. All right, let's go on to the metapixel. I'm going to go ahead and move this slide up. Okay, so let's talk about why to install the metapixel and maybe why not to install the metapixel. All right, I'm just going to present you some information and you can decide. So the reason why you might want to install the metapixel is that it's basically a piece of code that comes from Meta or Facebook, Instagram, the company that owns Meta, the company that owns Facebook and Instagram. It's a piece of code that you can install on your website, and it tracks what people do on the website, and it reports that information back to Meta. Two reasons why you might want to do this in some cases. So number one, for example, you might have a form on your website that people can fill out to sign up for something, such as an English class. And if you set up the metapixel, then you can actually track when people fill out. And then you can configure the ads so that the ads are shown to people that through machine learning are identified to, that are most likely to sign up, fill out that form, right? So it can have the potential that way to further reduce your cost per link click, your cost per, registration, right? So it can save you some money. And a second thing you can do is that you can then show additional ads that are not just, for example, to people within a radius of the church building, but you can also say, hey, I want to show some sort of ad on Facebook and Instagram to everyone that is interacting with the church website, right? So maybe it would be an ad that basically is just inviting people to visit the church, or like letting them know of a recent sermon or something that was posted, but is actually displayed to those who have seen the website before, which could be helpful because sometimes the only reason why people decide not to do something is they just forget. They said, oh, like I really glad I heard about that church. Sounds really interesting, but then other things happen and they just forget. So this could be helpful to be able to show ads to people that have already actually been to the church website at least once. And then again, that could be a way to maximize your return on investment. Okay, so that's the case for installing the Metapixel. Of course, the case against studying the Metapixel is that this gives a lot of information to Meta, okay? And right, Big Brother is watching you. So this case, it's not Big Brother, it is Meta, right? And so you do, depending on how you configure this, I mean, it's providing Meta with additional information about the people visiting the website, information about what they're doing once they visit your website, right? So I'm not here to say, it's right or wrong, you should or you shouldn't install the Metapixel, but there are potential benefits and there are potential costs. So we're gonna, I'm just gonna show you, if you did want to explore this further, here's what you would do. All right, so the first thing that that you need to do is you need to make something called a business portfolio in Meta Business Suite. All right. So you go to, let's show you this way. So we have, let me post this. We have the scribe guide. And here's the link to it. I'm putting it in the chat. So if you just follow that link in the chat, then it will take you to this page. And also, someone had a good idea of putting a link to these in the church outreach group. So if you just go to the church outreach group and click on this pinned post that says links to how-to guides, you can click on any one of these and you can click on Facebook and Instagram ads and it'll take you to that same place. All right. So basically, I'm gonna, we already have a business portfolio set up. You just kind of walk you through what you need to do. I'll just walk you through this. So like basically all of the things we're looking at today, you start by going to business.facebook.com. Then in the top left, there's this portfolio or account selector that you'll see. From there, you'll see a button that says create a business portfolio. And you got to give it a name. If you're doing it for your church, I just recommend putting in the name of the church. Then you put in your name and email address. That's now in doing this, I'll just say this particular example that I'm showing where I was creating this for the Bible Answers project. I think I ran into a little bit of a snag where it seemed like because I don't have a Facebook account tied to this particular email address, it was a little bit confusing to me. Anyway, so all that to say is I need to do some more research on it doesn't require that it be an email with a Facebook account. So I think it's fine just to put any old email address, but I may go back and revise this how-to someday, and after I learn more about whether you should put something that already has a Facebook account. But it doesn't require you to do that. Then there's a couple other things it asks you to do. One is that you connect your portfolio to one of your one or more of your Facebook pages. And then you can all people to the portfolio as well, which is a good idea. And then you have your portfolio set up. So you need to do that first. Again, if you have any questions, post them in the chat. Once you have done that, you can then come to business.facebook.com. And see, now you have a business portfolio. So you can see here what I was just walking through. And now we're to the point of creating a metapixel. But really, before you do that, I need to have these in the wrong order. Before you do that, you should really make sure you have a privacy policy on your website. And as I think probably many of you know, different, there's a lot of laws and legislation that have been made, and probably with very good reason, in the past 10 years or so related to this topic. So like, different states now have laws that regulate this. Virginia, where I live, has a law. California, Colorado, like there's all these different states that are coming out with laws that pertain to issues related to this, right? So what I recommend you do for creating the privacy policy, there's lots of different ways you can do this, but I've recently had good success with a site called Termly. So you can go to termly.io and you can click on privacy policy generator, and then you can click generate privacy policy. Right, and this one I'm already logged in. Let's see. Basically, here, let me try showing you what it will look like if you're logged out. Okay, so if you've never done this before, it's going to start asking you questions. Now, this whole process takes at least 15 minutes. So I'm actually not going to go through all of it. Basically, it just asks you a zillion questions. And each time I've done this over the past year, it seems like there's more and more questions. So, just to give you an idea, you have to specify the website you're making it for, and it just asks you all these different questions, right? And one of them has to do with tracking technologies. So as far as the I think also the collection of information, but the use of tracking technologies. So you really see, this is where it gets tricky, right? This is a realm that actually gets into laws, right? There's laws that pertain to this. So if you really want this to be, rock solid and guard against as many risks as possible, what you really need to do is get a meeting with a technology expert and an attorney. Okay, get yourself and two of those experts together in a meeting, and then go through this, right? So probably just to be safe, I would probably click both in this case, and then that's what I would say for tracking technologies. All right, now once you've answered all the questions, which again it takes at least 15 or 20 minutes, You then click publish. Then what Termly does is it makes something like this. All right, and then you can click add to website, and you can use this HTML format. Click copy to clipboard, and then you can just paste that into a page on your website, like I did for Fraternity Reformed. Okay. All right, and you see it's quite extensive. That's what you need to do. And because again, there are laws, and I'm not an attorney, I'm not a lawyer. I don't even know everything about all of the different technologies, believe it or not. So, right. So there's a lot going on here. Yes. Does someone have a question?
Daniel, I have one. You said you plugged in that HTML. So and you put it in your website. So when they click that policy, does that take them to Termly?
No, the option that I used, basically what it does is it keeps them on your website.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was my question. I was seeing to me you'd want to keep it in your website.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You got to keep it on your website. And yeah. Yeah. And there's actually many services like this, like Termly, that provide these sorts of tools. So, but this is the one that I've found good success with so far over the past year. All right, so you got to get your privacy policy in place. Once you do that, then you can move forward with creating a metapixel. Okay, so let's go back to Facebook. So I think you go here. Yes. Okay, then you go to data sources, and you can click on pixels, but actually when you go here, it just says, oops, actually, we've changed. Now you go to data sets. So actually, you just go to data sets. All right, and then you click add. All right, and we'll just call it you'll call it just website data. All right, so now what do you do with this? Well, you click on setup metapixel, and you can do the install code manually option. I am gonna actually just I'm just going to click on this one just to see what happens. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Let's see if there's one for WordPress. All right, let's just see what happens here. I don't know what's going to happen. So this is an option. You can use this Facebook for WordPress plugin. It's interesting there. It has. Well, let's see what happens there. Let's see what the ratings are. In that image, it shows 2 out of 5 stars, which is kind of weird. Okay, probably this one is, we don't have WooCommerce, so probably this is what you would use. What concerns me about this is that it's 2.5 stars. So could go that route, or you can go this other route, which is, let's try that again. you can click install code manually. Okay. And you're going to see that this this part actually can be time consuming as well, as you'll see in a minute. So this part's pretty easy, actually. And oops, I need to go back. I need to copy this code. All right, and then that code needs to be added to the website by adding a plugin. Again, there's lots of these different plugins that do this same thing, but WP Code is one I've been using recently. It seems to be working okay. All right, so then you have code snippets, and you can go to header and footer, and you can paste that here. All right. And let's see if we put it in the right place. Okay, just above the closing head tag. All right, so we'll click Save Changes. Now that code is on there. All right, and let me close that. That part's done. I'm gonna, basically this is like give Big Brother more information. Okay, so I'm gonna keep that off. It's basically what that means. And then you can, in order to finish it, you have to do this event setup tool. Let me go ahead and purge cache. The reason I'm doing that is so that in this next step, Facebook can detect, because it says, please make sure your pixel has been installed properly before using this. All right. So I'm not going to actually kind of show you kind of what this would be like. And we really don't have time in this webinar today to kind of go through this whole process. But if anybody is interested in doing this on your website, then just, reach out to support@5moretalents.com, and we'll be happy to talk about it with you. All right, so there, basically it opens the website, and it's basically scanning the website to see if it can find a pixel there. And, a lot of times, it'll either find it or it won't. It's not uncommon if this happens and says a pixel wasn't detected. So this is where you need to make sure your caches are cleared. So maybe that's what's going on here. And let's see. Sorry, I was distracted by that phone call coming through. Hang on a second. There we go. All right. So, yeah, so then what you basically need to do is clear your caches to make sure this code is appearing on the front end of the site. Once Facebook can finally detect it, then you basically, going this route, you have to train the pixel on what events you want to track. So this could definitely be a little bit time consuming, but that's what you need to do. Let's see here. Okay, and then this is basically kind of the screen that will basically report on your status. Okay, and you can see here it says events may be delayed. So anyway, this is something we'd really have to come back to in a future webinar to really go through this full process. But this is how you get started in setting up your pixel. All right, Ron, could you explain your question, please?
Sure. You know, we have monitor displays that are 1080 by 1640. Those
Okay.
are pixel counts.
Yep.
So what does this service mean by it can't find a pixel?
Okay. Yeah. So if you look at the code, this is super technical, but the way that this works for whatever reason is that it literally, I don't know why they do it this way, but they literally put in an invisible image, which is 1 pixel by 1 pixel, and it's loaded from facebook.com. Okay. So they've kind of, it seems like they're kind of moving away from actually calling it a pixel. They're now calling it a data set, but that's why it's called a pixel, because it literally puts a piece of code that's an invisible 1 pixel by 1 pixel image. Good question. All right, so hope nobody is too disappointed that we didn't actually get to go through the whole process, you know, all the way to the end of having the metapixel completely up and running. But hopefully this at least gives you an idea of why you might want to install a metapixel, why you might not want to install a metapixel, and then points you in the right direction as to what you need to do to get this up and running. All right, so that brings us to questions and answers. Anyone else have questions or answers? I mean, it doesn't always have to be me giving the answers here. All y'all can provide answers as well.
So Daniel, once that pixel is installed, the tracking begins. Is that correct?
Yes.
Every time someone lands on your website, information is shared with Facebook?
Correct. Yeah, and so you'll be able to come here and you'll be able to see you'll basically be able to see what events it's tracking. So obviously we can't see that here yet, but you could come here and then it'll say, and the events have different names, like it'll be page view, or you can have it set up so that it'll, you know, track when somebody fills out a form, which that's the one that I think can potentially be very valuable, especially if that's the whole goal of the ad, that you want people to fill out a form on your website. You can configure the pixel so that it tracks that event that a form has been filled out. And you'll see them here in this panel. It'll give you a kind of a count of how many of those events are happening. Yes, so go ahead, Ron. Yeah.
Do you have an active website where you could show us these stats and explain them a little bit?
Let me check here. I'm actually not sure, so I'm just gonna see what I have here. Okay, so we have the 5 More Talents website. So you can see here, here's the 5moretalents.com website pixel. And it's getting a lot of page view events. And then you can see, well, that's not very helpful. Let's see, diagnostics. Okay, yeah, so basically in this case, it's basically just tracking the page views. But that's just one of the different types of events that can be tracked. we'll say this, all the tech companies, they have been making efforts in, in recent years to, toward greater respect of people's privacy. At least that's kind of the way it at least appears on the surface. There have been lots of laws that have been passed to give individuals greater control over their data that's shared. So frankly, like 5 or 10 years ago, it used to be easier to install different things on your website that would just kind of gather all this information, and it was, it seems like it would have been possible to install a pixel or something. I don't know this for a fact, but a few years ago, it would have been easier to install this, and you would have gotten more different types of data kind of right out of the gate. But the tech companies are trying to, there's the laws, and so now there's more hoops you have to jump through. So. Any other questions?
Daniel, this is Joe. I know you don't want to go down this path, but I just wanted to kind of reiterate something you said about getting advice from legal advice and things like that regarding this.
Mm-hmm.
That one question that came up about the LGBTQ thing. Being in California, there's been a lot of draconian laws that have come out, and they create a lot of exposure. Establishing past precedent. ACSI did Association of Christian Schools International did a workshop several years ago on protecting your ministry. I wish there was one place where you could go to get answers to these questions, but I just want to reiterate the necessity of being careful.
Yeah.
The Presbytery here in Southern California, trying to deal with this child abuse law that came out, decided to opt out. And not because when you opt in and start meeting these requirements, you really are exposing yourself. And unfortunately, the insurance companies, and I won't name names, they're seeing it as a marketing opportunity, to sell more goods and services, and it's dangerous. So just for the people on this web, be
that's
very
good.
careful.
Yeah, it is. That's a good word. We have one of the things I'll say for this is the website of Alliance Defending Freedom.
Get up, organization.
5 More Talents has a volunteer board of advisors that we meet with at least a couple times a year. We aim for quarterly, but one of the gentlemen on our board is an attorney with Alliance Defending Freedom, and so I mean, I've not talked with him about this particular issue, but I agree with you, Joe, is that this is something that I think all of us need to take seriously. And you might be able to find, I haven't looked, you might be able to find some good resources on Alliance Defending Freedom.
Yeah, I agree. They're very helpful.
Yeah, certainly this would be a good place to start if you weren't sure where to start, but you wanted to explore this topic further. You could try contacting them. I'd be happy to put any of you in contact with with my contact there, as well as some other folks I know as well. So yeah. Any other questions? I'll also say this is one of the reasons why something like the Bible Answers Project, I think, can be helpful long term, because the goal of the Bible Answers Project is to produce content that can be found by people kind of without having to get into this whole sticky wicket of you know, of these laws and like sharing all this information and so forth. So anyway. All right. If you have any other questions, just don't be shy.
I just put one in the
Oh,
chat.
except for sharing data, is there any cost for any of the associated services? If I understand your question correctly, the answer is no. I mean, Facebook does not charge any more for using the Metapixel. I think they like it because they get a lot more data that they can then they can use for, you know, their purposes and to make their business better. So yeah. All right, so we will be taking a break next week from the webinars, and then the week after that we have planned to do a series focusing on outreach, event promotion, and follow-up. So this is kind of going to pull some of the different threads together that that we've been looking at this year. So when you're promoting an event, there is advantage to using the power of online ads, and so that's the promotion part. The follow-up part of it relates to what we were talking about a month or two ago with newsletters. So newsletters can be a helpful follow-up tool, but there are also some tools that can be used for text message based follow-up. So that is something that we might get into there. At least want to share some things that I found that look like they're interesting. So that'll be in a couple of weeks. Also want to use this opportunity to talk a little bit more about the Church Outreach Incubator. If you've been to these webinars, you've been hearing me talk about this. And this shows the 3 phases that are part of the incubator service. This is designed for a church that is looking for something that is intensive and transformational. So you can see during phase 1, 5 More Talents would build a customized outreach system for your church that would include online advertising, local SEO, email newsletters, could potentially include text messaging systems as well, and search optimized sermon publishing. So this kind of brings all the different pieces together into a cohesive system. Phase 2 is training, where we train people from your church to operate this system. And then phase 3 is where we really shift into more of a coaching mode, where then the folks from your church are running the system, and at least in theory, 5 More Talents regular involvement is no longer needed. We don't want to create, you know, we want to really serve you and empower you to be able to do these things on your own. I think it can be a great way for people in the church sometimes to learn some new skills that they can then apply in you know, other areas of their life as well. So that might be another reason, a benefit for a church to do this. So we have we can't do this on a large scale. I mean, we work with 150 churches on their websites, and we have about 100 other websites we're responsible for at Five More Talents. So the most customers that we could do the incubator for in 2025 is 6, is what I'm thinking. No more than 6 churches can get involved in this for 2025. But we are excited about the potential for this. If you think back to just the results we were looking at from the ads advertising the English class, that's pretty exciting. Think with, when I think it shows just how when you test some ads and you find one that is the right message to the right group of people, then it can be very cost effective, and you can get a lot of new people that you can then interact with. And then follow-up becomes very important. So that's why that's a really important part of any outreach system. Here is this exciting offer, which is if you apply for the incubator by November 16th, then we'll send you a free resource kit, which includes 3 items. These are just things that I've selected that I think are all great resources related to outreach and evangelism and church revitalization. The first one is a leaders kit for Christianity Explored. If you haven't heard of that before, check it out. In November, we actually have planned that one of the representatives of Christianity Explored is going to be in the webinar with us. And this leaders kit basically what it is it's a Bible study that goes through the Gospel of Mark over the course of 8 weeks. And it has videos, and it has discussion guides. And so this leaders kit kind of gives you an idea of what Christianity Explored is, how it works, gives you access to the videos, the discussion guides, and so forth. And the second thing is this book by Harry Reeder, From Embers to a Flame, How God Can Revitalize Your Church. Again, if you apply for the incubator by November 16th, you'll get the resource kit that includes that as well. And the third thing is this devotional by C.H. Spurgeon that my wife and I have really come to appreciate over the past few years, which is called Faith's Checkbook, or Checkbook of the Bank of Faith. So it's basically each daily reading is one of God's promises from the scriptures. So it's very good. It's kind of the lesser known Spurgeon devotional, but it is definitely my favorite. And so I'll be happy to send that to you again if you apply for the incubator. So you might be wondering, how do you apply for the incubator? Go here, fivemoretalents.com/outreach, click on Church Outreach Services, and then there is a button that says Apply Now. And it asks you some questions that may or may not be easy to answer, but there's not too many questions. And this will, the incubator is not the right fit for everybody. But I do believe that there is a great need for churches to kind of renew and revitalize their efforts in outreach and evangelism. And so this is what we've come up with to help you in that. So you can fill out that application form. If you do it by November 16th, we'll send you that box of free resources. If you're not sure, you want to learn more, then before you apply, then just click here and schedule a call with Laura, and she'll be happy to answer your questions as well. So I think that takes us to the last slide, which is just to mention lampstand again, which is related to the book From Embers to a Flame. 5 More Talents will be one of the 2 organizations with a booth there at the Lampstand Conference in January, there in Birmingham, Alabama. So definitely check out Lampstand if you haven't before. So that's all I've got.
Daniel, real quick, like, is there, if we sign up for the program and we're not ready to launch yet, I mean, I'm thinking for our church, we're in a transition now with new pastor and everything.
Mhm.
But I could see this would be a vital thing for us to do, but maybe a year from now or 2 years from now, we might want to jump into this. We just sign into there and do that, or what?
Yeah, so this is, we're not asking you to we'll send you the box if you
Okay.
just apply, okay?
Okay. And the link to that application is where?
So if you go to the 5 More Talents website,
Got it. Okay.
Church Outreach Services, and click Apply Now, and you can fill that out. So
Super.
kind
Thank
of
you.
asking you at all to use the honor system, like take this seriously, right? Do an honest assessment, honor system. But if this is something that you think you're interested in starting potentially at some point, say by the end of 2025, okay, then absolutely please fill this out. I'll also say this, that there are some other options that are going to be available that kind of go beyond the webinars and the church outreach group and the courses that are there, which you all have access to. So there is going to be an option of group coaching, which is not the incubator, but it's something that is much more intensive and detailed. And you can have much more specific guidance for you and your church. And so as a 5 More Talents customer, this says $500 a month, but if you're already a customer, it would just be $400 a month. So that's another option that even if you weren't ready to sign up for the incubator, then, we could, if you apply to the incubator, we can sort of figure out maybe whether the group coaching could potentially be a good fit prior to starting up with the incubator. All right. Thanks, everybody. It's great to see you all again, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. All right, bye now.
Goodbye, Daniel.